welcome back to my channel. This is Alex of Star Astrology. This is my video for the full moon in Pisces coming in on August 30th, 2023, which is a Wednesday here in California. However, please do adjust for your current location on the planet as that time and date may change. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get this one out sooner for you guys. I got taken down by a gnarly cold this last week. My voice is definitely still very nasally, so I apologize about that. But I really wanted to get this out for you because things are about to really start to accelerate in the next few weeks, as you're going to see. And eclipse season is right around the corner in October. A lot of the things happening in the next few weeks are leading up to and preparing us for that portal. So there was just too much to discuss to skip this one. So hopefully you can deal with my voice, and I'm going to try to get through this without coughing or sneezing. But anyways, here we go. So full moon in Pisces. Normally I am so excited about full moons in Pisces. This one is a bit different. I don't think it's going to be the typical Snow White, sparkly, ethereal, magical full moon that we're used to. I think that if you go looking for the sparkle, you can find it. I do. It's not all bad, but when we see where the moon is, I'm pointing at it with my cursor, you can see that the moon is within very close proximity of Saturn. So, with the full moon illuminating Saturn, I think we're going to be feeling a blend of Saturn and Pisces, and this takes the wind out of our sails a little bit when we're thinking about it in the typical Pisces way. But we will be seeing a combination of the energies, and there's good things about that and not so good things about that. So let's discuss. The combination of Saturn and Pisces is interesting in the sense that in some ways they're quite opposite, but they also work really well together. They're opposite in the sense that Pisces is idealistic and sort of fundamentally irrational, and Saturn is realistic and very rational, right? So when you get the combination, you get a real grounding or sobering of otherwise fantastical visions or outlooks. So it's quite sobering for Pisces. And again, this can be positive and negative. I do see this being a full moon that might feel like a reality check or a wake-up call or a realization about how things really are, a sort of potentially taking off of the rose-colored glasses to see things as they are, particularly, you knew this was coming, around relationships. And there's a few reasons why I say that. And also, I just wanted to say, I got a comment on my last video of somebody who sounded really frustrated because they are not currently in a relationship, and they interpreted my usage of the word relationships to only mean romantic relationships. And I hope that everyone that watches my channel is clear that when we are talking about Venus, Libra, or relationships, I'm not just talking about romantic relationships at all. I know that we associate that word with simply romance, but I'm not at all. And like I told that person, I am single AF, and I have tons of relationship themes happening in my life. So I just wanted to clear that up in case you are single out there and you feel like I'm excluding you when I talk about this. I am certainly not. We are in South Node Libra territory, y'all. We are all going through karmic relationship themes, and you are not being left out in the cold if you're single, although with Pluto squaring it, you may wish you were. So now that we have that cleared up, where were we? Oh yeah. So why the relationship themes with this full moon? Well, couple different places. I'll start with the ruler of the full moon, Neptune. Here he is. 26 degrees Pisces. So this is telling us more about this full moon. What we know so far is that we are seeing Saturn illuminated. So Saturn has that kind of sobering, realistic view of things. And then we come over here to Neptune for more information. And what do we find? Well, Neptune is opposite Mars, and Mars is in Libra. Mars in Libra is about our direction in relationships. This placement, by the way, is governed by the Two of Swords tarot, which has to do with within an opposition or a reversal, difficulty making decisions or confusion. Neptune is about illusion, not knowing which way is the right way. And when we follow the trail further, Mars in Libra connects to Venus. And what's Venus doing? Well, she's retrograde, but she is back at 12 degrees, getting ready to go direct on September 3rd. Venus is stationing. So yes, relationships are very much a theme at this time. And because this is all connected to Saturn in Pisces, that leads me to believe that many will be facing the reality of relationships. Any illusion or fantasy that was around a relationship may now be dissolving, and we may be looking at exactly what's in front of us, for better or for worse. So it feels very rational, actually, in some ways, this Pisces, where we may have to look at the truth of somebody or something, which may not be quite as sparkly as we had hoped, but at least, for the love of God, now we sort of know what we're dealing with. Coming back to Venus going direct, that is happening on, yes, September 3rd. So between now and then, we are in Venus station energies, which means that big wave of karma, that big wave of, in some cases, drama, with all your relationship questions and all of your confusion and all of that stuff. Finances too. Can't forget about that, man. Finances. Remember, Venus rules finances. So all your financial worries and woes and questions and payments and that kind of thing, that is getting ready to crash and roll forward and get moving again. So direct motion of planets is the conclusory, revelatory moment of the journey. And this, as we've been discussing, is a little bit dramatic, for better or for worse, because she is in square to Jupiter when she does so. So I think, depending on where everybody's at, this can be dramatic displays of green light go, or things completely exploding and falling apart. For some couples, this might be dramatic decisions to sever. For others, this might be dramatic decisions to level up above the challenges and completely revitalize the relationship and move forward. There's going to be tons of creative projects being launched because Leo rules creativity, and tons of financial things you may have been waiting for in the wings moving forward. Venus will continue her post shadow throughout all of September. And I do just want to remind us about this last moment. So here we are. Here's Venus today. We've been in Venus retrograde since middle of, or she's returned back to where she was middle of June. So you may want to go back to middle of June and see what was going on. That's where she is now. Okay, sorry. So last week of September, what am I doing? There we go. Venus comes back to 20, 21, 22 degrees, and she has to make this last square to Uranus right there around the last couple of days of September. That is like one last moment of turbulence and revelation before she clears post shadow. And then we go right into eclipse season, which is all about relationships and the nodes in Libra, Aries. So we still have lots of time for things to unfold. But this week we're in this critical moment where everything is kind of coming to a head. We're having the realizations we need to have. I think that this full moon in Pisces is really, really assisting with that. Let's look at the tarot. Okay, so Jesus, the full moon, the moon card for the first decan of Pisces, it's a Saturn ruled card that we have just dealt with way too often in the last several months. It's the Eight of Cups again, ladies and gentlemen, not the most positive card of all time. Again, this is a card that is associated with emotion, turning our back on an emotional investment or abandoning certain emotional situations that are just not fulfilling. It can be a card of loss or just disappointment. And then when we look at the card for the sun opposing, forming our full moon, we have the Eight of Pentacles, or in this case with this deck, the Eight of Laurels. So this is a card that's kind of about the labor of love and about dedicating ourselves to tasks at hand and focusing on mastery of our skill and the development of our skills and everything that we're trying to build. So when you put these cards together, you get this card. I'm really focusing on the Eight of Pentacles here, the Eight of Laurels, where it's like we need to separate ourselves from the distraction of things that eight of cups, things that are bringing us down. We're looking to the past too much. We're looking at all of these things that are making us emotionally upset, particularly about relationships that aren't panning out the way that we maybe wanted them to, or just situations in general. It's like if something has recently kind of fallen to disillusionment with these energies, it's okay. You needed to see that anyway. And with all of this retrograde energy starting to move forward, it's more about what's in front of us and building what we know we can rely on. That has more to do with what we can provide ourselves than what somebody else can provide us anyways. That's what the North Node in Aries is all about, y'all. Like, we are just in different times right now where it's all about you. It's all about what you want to do, following your passions, setting boundaries where they need to be set, and looking out for yourself in a very sovereign way. So these are the cards, and I also just kind of had to pull the card associated with Neptune because I wanted to know about that energy. And once again, Neptune in the last decan of Pisces is the 10 of Cups. But in this case, okay, so the 10 of Cups is, yes, we're looking at it. It's a very idealistic card about like, oh my God, like abundance and the perfect union, the perfect love, all this stuff. But in this chart, we know that Neptune is afflicted because it has that opposition to Mars we talked about. So this is almost like a reversal of the 10 of Cups of like, okay, so maybe things, like I said, they're just not turning out to be the fantasy that maybe we wanted, but that's because more is on the way. We had to kind of see the truth of this as it is. The Venus retrograde energies are going to clear up, and just that big wave is going to take all the trash and all the weird shit that you thought was going to work, but it's not, and it's just going to get rid of it. The garbage is getting taken out. There, I said it, right? So back to our chart. Here's the sun at 7 degrees Virgo. I feel like this is what we need to focus on, you guys. I really freaking do. Like, we need to focus on our health. We need to focus on taking care of our body, taking care of business, getting organized, right? Like, what are we trying to create right now with these Leo energies moving forward? Yes, we have a Mercury retrograde happening right now. That's definitely freaking annoying and not helping anything at all. But that's going to resolve quickly. Let me get you the dates for that real quick. Mercury goes direct right there. Let me just make sure that that's the right day before I tell you. Mercury goes direct on September 15th, 2 days after a lovely new moon in Virgo. So that's going to be really nice, actually, that new moon Virgo with Mercury direct. Love that. Okay, so help is on the way. But for now, with the full moon, we're maybe experiencing a little like wah wah and like kind of having to come to terms with some things with Saturn. That's what Saturn does. But we want to focus on the sun in Virgo, getting our shit together, right? And taking care of business, focusing on our tasks, and back to like kind of how we can work with these energies the best is the combination of Pisces and Capricorn, or Pisces and Saturn, is beautiful spiritual discipline or magical discipline. And keep in mind, this full moon is also uplighting a part of your chart that Saturn has been working for a while. So this full moon is actually very, very important because it's highlighting the work that Saturn wants you to do. Maybe not the funnest, but I mean, this is going to give you a lot of information on what you actually need to be focusing on when we clear all the clutter away, right? What else? What else? I think that feels really good. Just know that, you're going to see people are going to be making decisions about relationships in the next couple days. It might get a little bit dramatic. You know what I've been noticing a lot of with the Venus square Jupiter? Like, whoa, have I been seeing it. And I said this would happen, and it's been really funny to actually see it play out. Leo is super extra, right? And so is Jupiter in Taurus because it's very indulgent. When the two are in square, they get honestly obnoxious and indulgent. And there's like these big displays of love happening all over the place. And that's beautiful in and of itself. But in some of these cases, because of the retrograde energy, it's like, I'm seeing a lot of people that like just got out of one relationship and they're in another one and they're already telling the world about it. And you're kind of like, careful, like, I don't know, it's a little new, it's a little fresh, you know what I mean? Like there's a little bit of that going on where it's just that Leo extra energy where it's a little bit overboard. And so, we just want to be careful about that kind of vibe in general when Venus goes direct on September 3rd. Like careful about overspending, overbooking, overpromising, that kind of thing. What else? Yeah, I think that feels really good. I did want to tell you guys about a podcast that I did that's out. I'm putting it up there on the screen, and I'm actually going to also put the link in the description box of this video. I did a really fun podcast with Exploring Sovereignty with Elizabeth, and this is a totally different podcast than I've ever done. We do talk about astrology. I talk about the nodes. I talk about Venus retrograde and Venus direct and all that kind of stuff. But I also talk a lot about my personal journey. I opened up about some things that I don't believe I've ever talked about publicly, at least not in detail, about my struggle with an eating disorder in the past, body dysmorphia, my journey through those struggles into personal embodiment. And funny enough, this was actually topics that I had wanted to start to talk about in my channel. Now that I'm almost fully healed from my surgery, I'm going to be making lots of changes on this channel. I'm going to be doing more on-screen stuff, more interviews with others. And interestingly enough, in pops Elizabeth with the idea for this interview. She's so lovely. Her team is lovely. We had a really nice conversation. So thank you to her for having me on. And if you want to listen to it, again, the link is in the description box. If you would like to reach out to me for a reading, I am taking bookings. My list is not too long at the moment. I have a feeling it's going to start to fill up as we get close to eclipse season. So if you're interested, reach out to me. My website is coyotestarastrology.com. You can find information on my readings there, as well as the button to click to book. And if you don't already follow me on Instagram, I'm there at Earth2Coyote. I do lots of astrology there as well. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a beautiful full moon in Pisces, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.